card collectors, welcome to another edition of WTCtv, and I am joined once again by Paul, the wrestling card price guy. How are you?
Hey, Tony, nice to see you. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us yet again.
Yep, it's been it seems like it's always going to be a busy month every month with wrestling cards, which is great.
Yeah, there's always something to talk about. You know, we never say, should we skip this month? There's always stuff going on. So we're happy to be here, happy to have you guys join us, and happy to bring it to you.
There's a ton of stuff
happening. What do you
want
to start with? Lots of stuff to cover. Do you want to start with?
Just the news, man. Like we always do. We'll start with the news.
With a big announcement right off the top, just in case people decide to bugger off after 5 minutes. So for all of our wrestling collector fans out there, unless you've been sort of living under a rock, I'm sure you've heard about the Top Rope Wrestling Con that my friend and partner here, Tony Vella, is going to be putting on in September in Tampa, Florida. It's going to be a wonderful event that's going to have all sorts of stuff, but particularly focused during the day, kind of a trade show thing for the wrestling collecting hobby. And it's going to be the first of its type. Something like this has never been done before, where we're focusing in on not only wrestling cards, but wrestling figures, wrestling t-shirts, anything to do with the business of wrestling. Tony and his partner Stuart are putting on a show that's going to be one for the ages. So check it out.
We're trying to do that. It's not that it's never really been done before. There's a lot of wrestling conventions across the country, and some very
with the industry, with the sort of connection to collectibles and cards. And that's sort of what my announcement is. I'm pleased to announce it for the first time ever at a wrestling convention. WrestlingTradingCards.com and Wrestling Card Price Guide are going to be at the show exhibiting in a booth. And you might be saying, well, wait a minute. Tony Vella's the star and the promoter of this show. He's not going to be able to run a booth at his own show. Well, he doesn't have to, because you know what? The Canadians are coming down.
They're coming to save my ass.
We're coming down, and we're going to be there to talk all things wrestling cards. We're going to, if you're not familiar with WrestlingTradingCards.com, but who isn't? You all know about Tony's site. You all know about my site. We're going to be there to make sure that anybody in the Florida area that's come to check out learns about us and talk wrestling cards. So if you're in the Tampa Bay area, or if you're in the Orlando area and you can make the hour drive, come and see us, come hang out, have a drink with us, and talk wrestling cards. So
or just hey, we've encouraged you to come in from out of state. I mean, it's not that far. I mean, it's
I'm coming from Toronto, Canada.
Yeah, it's like a 45-minute flight from Atlanta. I mean, make a weekend out of it. I mean, it's in September, man. There's some cool stuff to do in Tampa. You know, I don't know everything there is to know in Tampa. I mean, that's why I have my partner who lives there, and Spencer is he's an amazing guy, and I'm so happy to have this going on.
Yeah, the early buzz is that it's going to be very well received. And I know you've been working hard on your guests, and I'm putting it all together, and we chat regularly about exciting things that may or may not be happening with it. But it's a done deal that Wrestling Card Price Guide and WrestlingTradingCards.com for the first time will be doing a booth and exhibit showing the world. Like, we've done a lot of stuff, obviously, in the last year online with these shows and everything else. But it's good to finally do something in person. And that's something that we've been talking about more, is getting out into the real world and doing more of the touchy-feeling thing.
Sure.
There's a lot of collectors out there.
More in-person type of stuff would be great.
Yeah, more people that are into the hobby that are aware that, hey, the wrestling guys have really made a splash in the last 9 months or what have you. So, letting them know who the faces are behind, and, we're here and we want to meet people out there and bring more people into the fold.
Speaking of seeing more faces like that, I'm hoping that anybody listening or watching this, if you want to set up as a vendor, please visit topropecon.com and click on the vendors link there, and be happy to take care of you being a vendor there. So just fill out a vendor application form.
Do keep an eye on that website, because Tony and his partner are updating it constantly with new guests and different things that are happening and new vendors as they come on board. And, we might do something ourselves there for the show, who knows, but
yeah, vendors will be encouraged. Like, if you want to be a vendor there, and you're also encouraged, you can bring your own talent as well too, and make sure you check out the vendor application page for that, because there are a little bit of rules to that. But check it out, and I want to see as many people there as possible. And I don't want to see just vendors. I'm really kind of hoping that, I know this is going to be year one, but I'm hoping by year 2 and year 3 that I can start making some better relationships when it comes like Upper Deck or Panini, or, even, Pro Wrestling Tees, or Jax or Mattel. I want to kind of make it very trade showy meets, wrestling convention meets Comic-Con type thing. I want to kind of encompass all of that. That's my end goal. And, I think it can be done, and it's specifically about wrestling.
I think it's going to be wonderful. I mean, when you started talking about it last year and it started to take shape, and then I called you that one day, I'm like, why isn't wrestling trading cards and wrestling card price guide a part of this? And you're like, because I don't have time to do it because I got a show to run.
I got to
Said,
show
well, my
around.
friend, tag me in.
Tag.
Me and my buddy Steve will be coming down. Looking forward to it. Two Toronto guys that give someone from Toronto excuse to go to Florida any day of the week. We're there.
Yeah.
So, there'll be more information coming on that. And we are working on other things. There's maybe an even bigger announcement that might be happening next month. We just don't know yet. We're just waiting, for
Waiting
a
on
phone
that.
call, but regardless, we'll be at toprope.com and we hope to see some of you guys there. If you could come down, we'd love to see you and hang with you, meet you in person, especially the people that we interact with on a regular basis. If you can somehow get yourself down there, we'd love to see you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody down there as possible. It'd be nice to actually shake some hands, or anybody, or fist bumps, I guess, because we're still like post shaking hand kind of stuff. Whatever, just see people in person. So the only person I met from our inner circle of cards so far now has been Chuckster.
Yeah. So that'll give us the opportunity to meet face to face, put each other in a headlock, have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Top Rope Wrestling Con, keep an eye on that. We'll have more information, but wrestlingtradingcards.com and the Wrestling Card Price Guide are going to be there, and
Nice.
We're looking forward to it. All right, so we talk about wrestling cards. What happened this past month?
Yeah, what happened this past month, man?
Nothing came out.
Nothing. Moving on.
A couple of indie sets, but you know what? We're expecting the last two tops. I was almost going to say Fleer. I forgot who tops was all of a sudden.
They're gone.
The 2021 finest set that never came out, and the 2021 women's division. You might be saying, no, women's division came out last year, but no, that was the 2020 women's set that we got last summer. This is the 2021. Now, this stuff has long been printed, sitting on docks for some time. We know that Panini's scheduled to drop in around WrestleMania, which is only 6 weeks away. So as we go into March, we're expecting the finest to come out first, and then the women's division to come out 2 weeks later. But it's going to be tight. You're going to have these two this month, and then where it's WrestleMania season, and we'll be talking about Panini. And to all you collectors out there, I know we've been talking about Panini forever, and we're all excited about the Prism release and what it's going to mean to the hobby, but don't sweep these last two top sets under the rug. I remind people what happened in the last days of the Fleer sets. Now, we didn't know they were going to lose the license. That was more quiet, but all of a sudden they stopped making stuff, and Tops came on board, and people kind of forgot about the last Fleer stuff. But then all of a sudden there was stuff to find in some of those last releases. So yes, of course, we're excited about Panini, and that's going to be the big one. But keep an eye for these two last top sets. So we'll have those. And on the indie side, we had a couple of Revolver sets come out this past month of January.
Very nice looking sets.
Yeah, very nice looking sets. Our friend Joypad put out a custom set. Now that it might have come out before then, but we just sort of cataloged it in January. And then
it was a very specific set that was made for one person. Yeah, it was made for one person, basically as a request. It was a custom set made as a request. And so because there was more than one set made and they were kind of distributed amongst people, I felt that it needed to be archived.
Yeah, when you sent me that, I was surprised. I'm like, what's this? I didn't hear about this. And then but we realized that when we get into these official sets, as soon as an original idea hits the printing press and the cards get made, whether it be one set for me or 10 sets for collectors in the hobby or 50 sets or whatever, they exist now. And we make a point of cataloging them. And you remember I mentioned to you, it's good that you're on this because I wouldn't have seen them, Chuck wouldn't have seen them, Anthony wouldn't have seen them, and they would have just disappeared. And there is stuff like that every once in a while we'll see something, we'll hold it up and we'll say, what is this? And none of us knows. We'll say, how can that be? How can there be something that we don't know? There is, because something came out and Dave Porto and Tony Vella were at the beach that day and it came and went. So we don't know about it, and that's the reality, because you guys were for, the longest time before I hopped on board and Chuck started getting involved, and you were it. So it's good that we're catching these little sets now in the independent world, because it's so popular. Not a lot of stuff is going to go under the radar, but these custom sets and some of these Indian sets that we're working on, like I know that you're following up now on a lot of the Indian, and the good news is you're asking me questions about it. You're not taking everything that I dug up on faith. You're finding out more info, trying to get more detailed stuff so that you can put in your header notes about what we know about them, and that's all good. It just bolsters the value of the info that we get.
Yeah, and there's not too much. There's no such thing as too much information in this. So I want everything. And when I tell people I want stuff, when I see a post maybe on Instagram or on Twitter or whatever, and I say, man, I got to have information about that. When I say information, I mean I want everything. Like if it's, if it's an oddball card size, I need to know that's an oddball card size. If it's like a low print run, what the print run is. I need to know that. If it's got a UPC number on it, I want I want all the information, because if I can house it all on one page, it just makes it easier for a collector to understand what they're looking for, what they have.
Yeah. So whilst we didn't have anything major happen in February, we are anticipating 2 more top sets, and then shortly thereafter, Prism. And the other big announcement was the Upper Deck announcing their Spectrum,
Yep.
which is going to be the second in their series of AEW releases, slated for June, I believe.
June, yeah.
Right away, with the prices of the boxes, $3 to $350. And we'll talk about how the prices settled on the first release. But expensive stuff, guys.
Yeah, well, we expected
Spectrum
that.
is a premium product.
It's a premium product. It's very similar to Fully Loaded, with
Yes.
the exception of being 1 card. It's a 7-card pack.
Right.
And it's just, I see a lot of complaints going on right now about the price point on this as it is, and that's from a distribution standpoint, looks like, where it's like in 1 minute, it's this price, is sell out. 20 minutes later, they put it back up at a much higher price point. And it's just, I don't know. What are your thoughts and opinions on that?
Well, Steel City did that. And I think they realized that, oh, fuck, there's a much bigger market there than we anticipated. We're leaving money on the table. So they bump it $50, $75. I don't buy boxes, so I'm not really going to say, but just in general, that type of behavior, price gouging, I don't like, you know what I mean? But
nobody likes that. I haven't met a person on this planet who goes, hey, I like the fact they raised the price on me. I don't like it. Yeah.
I guess you can make the argument it's what the market bears, and they're in a business to make a profit. And
sure.
They do a lot to get us this stuff. I'm a guy that relies on a Steel City or a Dave and Adams to distribute it to the guy that's going to crack it open and get it to me. So everyone has their role in the chain. But this stuff is expensive. Now, we'll talk a little bit about the prices, because we decided we're going to make a point of looking at the first AEW release box and see how it's doing. Get there. And it's still holding at $250 a box. And I thought that maybe it might see a bit of change. Wasn't sure if it was going to go up or down, because it seems to me that a lot of people are sitting on boxes still. And we're, a month and a half in.
Right? I still got a few right here.
Yeah, and when I talk to you in 6 months from now, that box is probably still going to be sitting there unopened. Now the question is that the value of the box, once the Spectrum stuff hits, what happens to the value of that box? Because we know roughly now, with all this conversation we've had with all the collectors, what the big hits are, and what you're likely to get, what you're not likely to get. And the buzz seems to be that if you go into Walmart and you buy that stuff, you're better off, because you're going to get the relics anyways. So it seems to me that the hit quotient, and again, I got to say, full disclosure, I got to pass on this set because Chuck did all the work for me. He actually assembled all of my.
Oh, I know. I helped him.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Well, thanks to you too. Yeah. You guys are welcome, by the way, to do that going forward for all the sets. I'm happy.
99% of the work was always done by Chuckster, as per usual. It's like that, because he's such a workhorse and that kind of stuff. But I filled in a few holes for him for some stuff that he needed.
Because all of a sudden, he gifted me the base set, and he says, how are you making out on the other stuff? And I said, I'm not really, I've got a few guys, but the prices are high to me still. He says, well, I'm only a few cards away from this and a few cards away from that. If you want me to, I'm like, please. And just on that, Chuck has also got all the canvas cards, and he's within a few pieces now of the Wednesday in action.
Yeah, I got one. I have one to send him.
We can't say for a fact, but I think our dear friend Chuckster is going to be the man on the master set, and the only man on the master set for this first release anyways. And that's what we spoke to prior to the release, that all of us aren't going to be able to get all of it.
No.
One of us through great effort might, but that's the extent of it.
Which I was actually kind of surprised that Chuckster was going to do that. He was very clear that he was going to just do the base set.
Yeah, but
that was kind of it.
He
loves the product, and it's a great looking product.
He's a real AEW fan.
Yeah,
he's a real AEW fan, and we haven't done it in a while. Like I went whole hog on that Heritage, if you recall. I got all of the variants, and I got that. So I got that whole master set, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to get one of the sort of trailing end of days a top set, and that Heritage one in particular I really liked. I thought it was one of the better tops releases ever, so I was pleased to get that. And I had intended to buy more of the AEW stuff, but when I saw the prices, when I saw the parallels, when I saw how it was all being put together, I realized, no, this is going to be a base and a few insert sets only for me on the AEW product, at least in the initial days. Now, if any of that secondary stuff, the relic stuff, starts coming down in price, where I can buy lots of it, then I'd be interested. But the problem is that I can't buy a $10 card to pay $20 to have it shipped.
That's true.
So for me, I'm just as excited as the last two Topps releases as I will be about the Panini, as I will be about the Spectrum, because for me, they're just sets, and I'll get some of it. Some I'll get more, some I'll get less. But congrats to Chuck, and thanks to you guys both for helping me along. But Chuck on doing such a wonderful job of putting it all together. He's almost there. By the time this airs or next month,
Yeah,
he'll have the master
I
set
think he's
done.
about 3 cards short of that Wednesday in action.
Yeah.
Because I still have one to send him. He's counting that one
It's
towards what he's missing.
it's a lot of work. It's a big
Yeah.
job to put a master set together. Like I've done many of them, and it used to be easier to do when you could bring it in 5 or 6 different shipments.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's not cost effective to do so, so I don't. But it's the kind of thing where people say, your lane of collecting. Well, if you're a master set collector, you know. You can't be missing an insert set, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, if that's what you do. And I've made my peace with this AEW and with Prism coming in. I know what to expect based on what you guys who have dealt with Prism before and UFC and everything else. That's no problem. If I get the base set, if I get a couple of insert sets, if you and Chuck want to go do it for me again, lovely. Um, you know what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just,
But
I'm wondering how far, if he's, I talked to Chuck Sturks. I got to talk to him today anyways, but wonder how far he is with the parallels and that kind of stuff for that set too. Because I know
was he
we
was he
just
chasing
discovered,
down parallel sets?
I
Because
don't
there's a
know.
few
I
for
don't know.
sale.
We just discovered another level of parallel, kind of little Easter egg
Yeah,
that they did, with that
limited edition.
limited
I
edition
noticed.
on the magazine cards.
Yeah,
So I don't know if he's going to go after that. He went and checked his sets last night and said he didn't have any. I went and checked my extra singles. I had none of my extra singles, but I did check the
none
two
of them.
base,
Not one card had
not
that.
one card, but I went and checked
But that's very rare then.
I went and checked my base sets that I put together. I have 2 base sets and one of them had a Matt Hardy in it.
Oh, really?
So I
So
didn't
now
even
when you
see
do
it. I didn't even see it. So I had to swap it out for a regular Matt Hardy one for the
right,
base
when
set.
you do the checklist for WTC, will you make the assumption that there's a whole set of limited editions like that?
Well,
Or is it
it's just going to be the magazine set.
the magazine? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
I
going to be
think
all of them,
I think
presumably.
what we're finding out, the limited edition might be the equivalent to the trademarks
Right, right. Because
of the
remember
base.
how that punk auto, not the scratch one, but a
Yep.
regular punk auto
Yep.
turned up, and it's not part of the official checklist. It was
Nope.
just something that
They threw in.
that upper deck
Yep.
had, and somehow, you know. But we've got to make sure. Like I put on the price guide at the very bottom, rare CM Punk autograph card,
Yep.
$500 or whatever I put. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we put like even Chuckster mentioned. He goes, yeah, well, I remember when in the interview you guys had with Billy that he mentioned something about Easter eggs, and I think this is one of the ones he was alluding to possibly. And here we are. We found, people, and then he looked on eBay, but there's people on eBay listing them all, and so they're across the board from 10 to 25, $30 a card on some of those.
Yeah, but you have that, and then you have like the matte, and then the splashy, and then so many different variations of the color, and that's what we're alluding to with these bigger sets. And Prism's going to be even worse, I suspect, and
Yes.
then Spectrum even more so. Is that you have to pick what it is you're after. So now if you're Gelman, and well, he's not. If you're a player collector for AEW guys, MJF or whoever, I was going to say Becky, but she's WWE. You're in trouble. Because you've got to go out and try and find this limited edition MJF, and try and find this red MJF, this pink MJF, and this weird. And I know that's the fun of collecting, but to realistically think that with all these levels of parallels with these big mega releases coming out, you're going to be able to get it all. You're in my boat now, being a master set guy. Realize that, I'll get the base sets, and if I get the base set, it's fine. It's for the wall, it's for the website, it's there, it's on the record. But getting much past that, good.
Not to get too deep into it, but because it could be for a whole episode on itself. But where do you think this fits in the grand scheme of things for collectors now going forward? Are we going to have any more master collectors anymore? Is that a bygone part of the hobby now? It's like it's just no more.
I think there are going to be guys that are going to sporadically want to get base sets, whether it be for WWE product because that's their jam, or whether it be for AEW because they like that product. Are there going to continue to be guys like me and Chuck? I doubt it. I think that we're going to be like the last of a bygone era, only because we were able to get into it when we did, when such things were possible. When it was during the Fleer era, you weren't blowing out your brains to try and put something like that together. We talked about in 2018, 2019, how many sets there were. And I, trudged along buying all of them. I mean, all of them. And, it was getting silly and frustrating, to try and get all the insert sets, so I don't know. I don't think so, because first of all, if you're starting today, then you're certainly not going to have the back catalog that Chuck and I have. So I think we're going to be a dying breed. I intend to keep going, as to how long, it's up, up to God to how long I continue to do it, but not in the same fashion, not where I'm going to be aggressively trying to get a lot of the relics, a lot of the autographs.
Uh-oh. We have some technical difficulties here, folks. Oh, he's back.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
did I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that? Let me turn that question back on you with respect to
It
where
doesn't bother me at all because I'm not a master collector anymore like I was back in the early 2000s. So it doesn't have any effect on me. I'm just curious to know if there's going to be anybody going forward with all these new products coming out. They're going to be, we already know where you stand and your reasons why. I'm just
Sure.
curious if anybody else is going to say, oh, it's not stopping me. I'm going to do the best I can to go out there and get everything
Well,
I possibly
Chuck
can.
went out and did it for this set. Now, is he going to do it for Panini? Probably not,
Probably not.
but then Spectrum might come around and he might decide, you know what, I did the last one, maybe I'll do this one.
Possibly because he loves that particular brand of wrestling anyway. So he's a big fan of AEW. So
outside of Chuckster and myself, because we're the guys for this kind of stuff, I'm not aware of anybody that certainly has the back catalog or is chasing down as much of this stuff as we would do normally. So yeah, master set collecting may become a sort of a bit of a lost art. That's okay. We're here still.
Still here. Well, yeah, we master collect the information, so it's all there for you. But
right. Well, let's talk about prices, Tony, because this past month, whilst there wasn't anything new.
Well, we still have one more bit of information in the news category here first.
Oh, sorry.
We got Fiterman autograph news.
Oh, Fiterman, yeah, right. And I'm gonna let you talk about that because this is what you do. You've been in the celebrity sort of autograph and doing personal appearances with wrestlers for quite a bit of your career.
Yep.
So just for the folks watching at home, this doesn't affect things like Panini autographs. Those are separate licenses. Fiterman is like for private signings where the Undertaker will come and sign a card like that. And from what we're hearing at this early juncture is that there's going to be some limitations. So why don't you talk about that, Tony, specifically about what this relationship is and how it affects people going for after the fact autographs?
Well, it's still a kind of news in progress. So we're kind of interested, especially when it comes to my Top Rope Wrestling Con. I actually had a name that I was kind of counting on coming, September's show that I couldn't announce anyways until 90 days out. But now I'm still trying to figure out and get information, some feedback as how is this news going to affect this particular person's signing at my show. From a booking standpoint, getting current WWE talent was always a problem anyway. So you have to go through the WWE office to do that. All they're really doing now is they're just taking and facilitating that process over to this company. I was taking care of it for them. So it's a whole different division now. It frees up a lot of people over at WWE having to answer emails and phone calls like that about, hey, can I book this person? Can I have this person, that person, It just, now this company, you take care of it. Boom, you're done.
So they outsource that service to this company. But how would it work? Does it put up any roadblocks, for example, for say you've got something with Kurt, you're going to the UK and you're
no, because it had nothing to do with me with Kurt, because Kurt's not under contract with them.
I see.
It only involves people. It's only going to involve people who are actually under contract with WWE. It says legends and this and that and the other because I'm sure there are legend contracts, there are ambassador contracts. Right. I have a client in Kurt Angle who has 0 contracts with WWE. Is that 0? So it doesn't get affected at all. So plus I already have a working relationship with him as it is. I don't know how if he was still under contract as a legend contract with WWE, I don't know how that would affect me going forward in booking him. Right. I imagine as it was
through someone at Fiterman, right?
Yeah, as it is with every contract is different in WWE. There's sort of standard type of stuff, but then there's other kind of provisions that they like put in these contracts. I know at one point in time, Kurt was under 3 different contracts with WWE, came back and he was under a Legends contract, an Ambassador's contract, and a Performer's contract. And then, all those kind of things just sort of just ended. And that was it, done.
Right.
So going forward, how is that going to affect me working with Kevin Nash? I don't know. He's under a Legends contract with him still. I don't know if that still affects or not. It's still a mystery for me right now. So, it's sort of like maybe I picked the right time, unknowingly picked the right time to kind of transition out of being like a booking agent and going into the promoting business instead.
Yeah, going into convention organizing. Well, keep that in mind for us for future episodes, and keep an eye on that and let us know how you think it's affecting. Because in our hobby, we have a lot of people. For example, like the big thing is this past month, Danny was showing off his All-Stars autographs, and a lot of guys do that. They'll get something graded, a very high grade, and then they'll try out and get that signed. Now, obviously, if someone's with WWE, it's become a little more difficult. But
I read a post somewhere that said that
that's a whole big world out there of like guys that fly into hotels near the airport, and guys put on, tables with people signing. And, people pay big money for this stuff. And I know now Hogan and some of these guys are charging real big dollars, and it matters on what you give them. If you give them an all-star, he's going to charge you more than if you give him a potato chip bag.
Yeah, because well, they know the value. So I was
right.
If I recall correctly, I remember seeing a post on Twitter saying that Fiterman's already telling Flair that he can't sign any more all-star cards
because of the value of what that what that creates. Well, it's kind of like PSA saying, hey, we'll charge you this, but if we know you're going to walk away with 10 grand, we'll charge you that.
Yeah, which I hate. God, I don't even get me started. I'm trying to have a good conversation here. Don't piss me off.
Right. We're talking about the hobby, and we're talking about things that can affect the guys that do what we do. Now, I don't grade, but I do appreciate and respect that a lot of guys in our hobby do. And there's often talk about who to do it with, and these are all very interesting talking points.
What this does, though, what this Fiterman deal does, though, is what it will create more opportunities for fans to actually get autographs now and meet talent. So they, as them being in control, they can go to the Galaxy Cons and the Pensacons and the fan expos all over the globe, and can actually start having these people make appearances at these shows.
Right.
So they become like the middleman now that actually negotiates all the stuff and the pricing and the deals.
Do you think, Tony, it might become cost prohibitive for like the casual fan, the young guy that goes, say, to a Comic-Con?
It didn't seem to bother when Undertaker was coming. I mean, Undertaker came to did Niagara Falls Comic-Con not too long, in 2019, whatever it was, or he still drew. I mean, they had him over at in the UK for Level Wrestling in 2019. That was a huge draw out there.
That's a big show, isn't it? That UK show.
Yeah, I'll be there in April. Yep, I'll be there in April.
Yeah, you'll report to us on that too, because I heard the one last year was something special.
There was nothing last year.
Wasn't there one last year or 2 years ago?
This will be their second show they've ever had. Their first show was in 2019.
Right. That's the one.
I had
someone had told me that they were at that show, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, for a wrestling fan, it'd be a fun time. I heard it was like not very many vendors. I heard it's kind of small on the vendor side.
It was probably the first time there, right? That's why it was the draw.
But talent-wise, I mean, their main guy was Undertaker. They had Undertaker there. They had Jericho there, who doesn't do any wrestling themed type conventions, and he was there. I had booked, Hall, Nash, and DiBiase for that one. I didn't go because I got married that weekend. So my partner, who now helps me, with the Top Rope Con, he went on my behalf. Right. And he said it was just for him as a wrestling fan. He said I understood it was work, and it was work. He's like, trying to keep those three guys rounded up like that and take care of them was a lot of work. But he said, as a fan, it was like he has stories to tell for years.
Okay. Yeah.
It was amazing.
And we don't have a ton of that stuff up here, not in the big way.
No, the biggest one out there, it's like I'll see you in September at Hamilton Comic-Con.
And we have Sport Expo, which is the big hockey one that Kevin Nash has come to, and they usually bring some. Maybe Trish will be there this year because she lives just down the road from it. But
you have Fan Expo in Toronto as well too. The Fan Expo out there. I've done that show. I did that show.
Yeah, that's like a Comic-Con.
Yeah, I did that years ago with Trish and Lita were that one.
Yeah, they haven't done wrestling recently though. I haven't gone in a few years, but I always do check their program.
I remember that year that we went. It was I was with Trish and Lita for that year, and I know Batista was there.
Yeah.
But it was like across the. I mean, the lady who was next to us at our table next to us was the voice of My Pretty Pony.
Wow. Well, Batista now.
The other side of us was one of the actors from Doctor Who.
Nice. Batista now goes more for Guardians of the Galaxy than he does wrestling, I suspect, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You're gonna get more of his acting stuffs like that too. I think. Exactly. But that's what I love about working with Nash. I mean.
Yeah. So remember to keep us updated on that on how the Fiterman deal affects people that want to go out and get this stuff signed after the fact. I've always been a guy that wants it certified by Topps or by Fleer that this is the autograph with the sticker. Not that I don't trust when someone says, hey, this was signed by such and such, but unless you have a certificate of authenticity.
Well, for someone like you, unless you're getting it done in person, what difference does it make?
Correct. So we want to talk about some prices because we had some pretty big numbers this past month. You know,
You want to do the our normal price? Okay, you want to do the top 10 prices, or do you want to talk about
we'll do the index second. Let's do top 10 sales in a month because it was a really big month comparing January to February. Notwithstanding, we had the biggest sale ever of a modern wrestling card graded.
Here we go.
And that happened a few weeks ago. Oh, perfect. There it is. And you look on February. Number one is the 2014's Roman Reigns Superfractor. That sold, my friend, for 15 grand. So, you know, I don't know if that makes us big time or not, but shit, we're getting close, aren't we?
That's big time for me, man. I don't know who's,
Yeah, I think so.
who's gonna look at 15 grand and go, it's chump change.
Yeah, it's for Roman Reigns, pretty good. Now, the biggest sale ever in wrestling is a Hulk Hogan autograph in around the 33 grand mark. The
What
Rock
was there?
sticker
Wasn't
last year
there?
went-
Wasn't is that the highest? Because I know there's a Hogan and an Andre that sold in the $45,000
So
range.
maybe I'm getting the number wrong, but it was last year that the Hogan one went in around this time, or was it the year before? But anyways, it's a Hogan, it's an autographed Hogan All-Star PSA 9, I believe that's the biggest seller to date. But this Roman Reigns one is something because it's Roman Reigns, it's 2014. Now, Superfractors are 1-1, so they're always going to be popular. But look at number 2, 1982 Sergeant Slaughter All-Stars, PSA 10, $7,600. So that's a big sale.
That's pretty good for someone who's not. I mean, it's Slaughter. Okay, no disrespect.
Yes.
It's a legend right there. But when we think of these kind of cards, these high prices, we're always thinking the Hogans and Flairs and Andres like that. So to see someone like a Slaughter, come up and it's a PSA 10. It's a 10. But to hit over over $7,500, it's just it's incredible.
Yeah. And let me just say this for some of the younger wrestling fans that may not be aware. But go onto YouTube, a little bit of wrestling history, and look up Sergeant Slaughter, Pat Patterson, circa 1981, 82, Madison Square Garden. Those guys ran a program that'll knock your socks off. So if you're thinking Sergeant Slaughter from his time in WWE when he was beating Hogan at WrestleMania 7, there was a Sarge long before that kicked ass in a big way.
Yep.
And that Patterson Slaughter program from that era is one of the best feuds ever, in my opinion, in professional wrestling. So for what it's worth, go check that out. Number 3, Hulk Hogan All-Stars at $4,550. And I should also mention another one.
Wouldn't be a top 10 list without a Hogan.
No, and another one just went for around that. And in fact, after I did this on Thursday or Friday, an Alexa Superfractor, I believe her 2015 Chrome Rookie went for $4,400. So those are a couple that I missed. And what that does is that pushes these last 2 down at the bottom off the list so that all of our top numbers are over 2 grand this month. And if you look at January, it was nothing like that. Sami Zayn, Transcendent, GPK. We talked about the 1-on-1 Garbage Pail Kids from Transcendent. They've all gotten some good numbers. They become really popular, I think, with non-wrestling collectors, guys that are into non-sport that realize the value of the GPK stuff.
Yep.
Number 7 is a Hulk Hogan refractor autograph, 2,200. Number 8's good, Jerry Lawler. Maybe a name that's a little higher up than Sarge, but over 2 grand for a PSA 9 for Jerry. And like to your point, we expect that with a Hogan, we expect that with an Andre, we expect that with a Flair. From the modern guys, The Rock, obviously, if anything big from him came. But when we start talking about Sergeant Slaughter, Jerry Lawler, guys like the Texas Tornado or Kerry Von Erich or Ricky Steamboat, these are guys that are going to get big numbers on high grades of their early stuff, and it's happening. So that's big news. There's an ungraded Flair 1982, not graded. The guy saying, look, you're going to get a good grade on this, and this traded for 2 grand raw, right?
That's incredible.
So that's I would think that a graded one at a 7 or 8 is going to go for around that. So the fact that a raw one went for that was incredible. And then the last one on my list, again, it wouldn't be on there if I counted the last couple of sales, is the Roman Reigns Finest Superfractor, another one, 1780. So Roman Reigns had like fully 3 or 4 cards on a month go for over $1 grand, notwithstanding the biggest sale ever at 15. But people are catching on to Roman Reigns all of a sudden. And what guys like Brett and Drake call the shiny goldy kind of stuff. High-end parallels, the real reflective stuff. There seems to be a real push on that, the refractor stuff. I checked my 2006 Heritage Chrome, and I couldn't believe it. I've got the entire X-Fractor set. And I can tell you, Tony, at the time, because I'm a cheap guy, I wouldn't have spent more than $100 maybe to get that. Mm-hmm. And now certain select cards just alone are going for $300-400. Like the Undertaker, I think went for 350 just for a raw refractor. So it's unbelievable what this chrome shit is doing.
Well, I've been asking this question too, and I think even asked Adam Gilman once on Twitter, where people's opinions on where you think this is going to lead to. Like we already have this 2014, 2015 era of chrome stuff that people are kind of really, really getting into. Are we going to see a trickle down effect going forward? Or do you think the 2007 Chrome 2s and the 2006 Heritage Chrome
Yes.
1s, are those going to go up in value?
Yes. I
Like
think we will. I think what we're
tremendously.
looking
I
at.
don't think there's not a rookie crop of people in that
No,
those ones.
no,
So
but just looking at the value of the X fractors, for example, versus the refractors, versus even the super fractors, the gold ones from that set, it's unbelievable how lesser names. Like I have a Mickey James, for example. I posted it the other day. It's the only super fractor from that set I got. But someone made me an offer on it. You know what I mean? I was stunned that someone would DM me and say, "Hey, you're selling that card," and it's like, I post stuff all the time that's more valuable and no one cares. But this one caught someone's eye. So the market is there. And I think looking at these numbers, again, this speaks to when we're talking chrome refractor auto, chrome gold refractor. One of the Romans, or there's a set of red Romans that sold as a bunch that got like $2,500 or some such thing. We're seeing the signs of it. So when we talked about pre-pandemic, and then all of a sudden pandemic comes, we saw these big numbers, and then things settle down. I believe we're starting to see a bit of a run now, a bit of a push on some of this stuff. Let's see come March, are we going to be matching these numbers again? Are we going to see a $15,000 card? Are we going to see?
I'm more interested in seeing what happens by the end of the summer. That's what I want to see. After we've already got,
a few
hell,
months of
I'll even say even midsummer. After we've already
enough.
gotten we've already gotten Prism under our belt. We've already had the last of the top stuff out there. I'm going to be curious to see if that new product's going to drive the prices up on this older product. And
Well,
I asked because yes, I have a little bit of an interest in that older chrome stuff because I've got a ton of that 2006 chrome. I've got complete sets of refractors and X fractors.
Yeah,
and,
me too. Yeah, so I couldn't believe when I found a complete set of X fractors and they're going for like $300 a card. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
This might not be the Paninis, it might not be the WCW autographs. It might be these refractors that are the biggest thing in my collection. And I think this is what it is. If we know that Prism is going to be high-end shiny, if we know that Spectrum is going to be higher-end shiny, then why wouldn't the top shiny, what little of it there was from back then?
Hey, when you have a lot of shiny stuff in the ocean, it's a lot of fish to attract.
You got it, man. You got it.
What are we up to next?
So let's talk about our index and the AEW hobby box, because that was something we wanted to look at in more detail. We wanted to see, okay, if you look January to February, was there a big jump? And not really,
Nope.
250 went down to 242, but that's, if you look at the individual sales, you got a high of 270 and a low of 235, it looks like.
No, 190.
Oh yeah, right. Right.
Yeah,
so
you got a high of 275 for this past month and a low of 190, bringing you down.
Yeah, so that's a big variation. The 190 guy did well. The 275 guy paid slightly more than he ought to have, but it seems to be still holding at that 250. And we were talking last month about what did we expect, and you said it might go up slightly. I said, I think it might go down slightly or just hold, and it seems to be in that range.
Yep.
But where the drop is happening is in the next column down to base sets. And that's something that we both predicted. We both thought these base sets aren't going to hold at $75. I told you that I think that they'd be down to a $40 to $35 base set before too long. And they're not there yet. They still seem to be hovering at around a $50 mark. And this is just the 100 card blue stroked AEW upper deck base set.
I suspect this will come down even slightly more as the e-packs start hitting.
Yes, and as the next set comes out, once Spectrum comes out and people have these base cards kicking around, anybody that can put a set together to make a few bucks will say, well, you know what? Rather than just sitting here when I have 10 of each of them, let me get rid of them. So my prediction is that, yeah, I agree. I think that the base set's going to come down slightly and the boxes will hold. And the reason why the boxes are holding is the reason why you got one sitting behind you. People aren't opening them yet. Now, when Spectrum comes out, then we'll see what happens to these boxes and what the prices are. But it's going to be interesting. Now, then the next thing on the spreadsheet, as nicely you have it, is that we decided at the beginning of last year to do an 82 Hulk Hogan Raw, but we were kind of concerned that most of them ended up being graded, so we wouldn't get enough. And that was exactly the case this past month, where there was no raw Hulk Hogan cards sold. But you know what there were? A ton of these little knockoff Hulk Hogans. And we've
Yep.
seen them on eBay, and they're selling at about a $15 a piece. And we just want to let everyone know, be careful.
Be very
Because
careful.
be very careful because, you know, these $15 knockoff cards often look better than the originals. You know, if you've got a real one, like I have, or 30 of them like Peck has, you know, very rare are they centered perfectly. Very rare are they top to bottom correct. We've never seen a PSA 10, and I think there's a reason for it. You know, I think some of these knockoff ones would grade a 10, but they're not real. You know, so be very careful. They're only selling at $15 a piece, some for 20, some for 25. But we're seeing more of that. We're seeing fake WCW autographs, and we're
Yep.
quick to point those out when they come up. But there's lots of these knockoff all-star cards. So be very, very careful, guys, out there, that you don't get sucked in because, oh, I got Hogan for $15. No, you've got to, like those Jerry King set, King Lawler set we talked about. They were reprints. They're not the real thing. So be buyer beware on those.
Always do your homework,
And then-
people. Always do your homework.
Yeah. And if you're not sure, check in with us. Check in with me, Tony, Zen. There's so many of us that are available at any time. Just shoot a picture and say, hey, here's an auction here. I'm not sure. And you'd be surprised how many of us will jump on it and steer you in the right direction. And it's worth it to do. The Discord channel. Tony runs a Discord channel that has a lot of people that talk about things, ask questions, and we share information there. Very important that if you're not sure about something, and remember, if something seems like it's too good to be true, it normally is, right?
Discord channel, by the way, guys, I really do highly recommend going there. That place has been on fire for the past month now. We've got a lot of new people on there. I don't run it by any means, just so you know. I just created and hosted. I do moderate, you know, but it pretty much runs itself, and people get on there and they're buying, selling, trading, discussing, sharing. You know, I mean, it's just there's tons of information on there. So many new. I see more new faces on there discussing cards than I do on any other social media platform right now. Is on Discord. For whatever reason, that maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I see a lot of faces. Names on there that I've never seen before. People who admittedly come on there and saying, "Hey, I'm new to wrestling."
Yeah, it's growing, you know, for sure.
And so there's a lot going on there. I mean, almost this entire time I'm recording here, it just keeps blown up with notification after notification of conversations going on there. So
yeah, I turned my notifications for Discord off because they were just coming in too often. You know,
yeah, I'm about to do that myself.
I make a point at the end of the day to go on there and just have a quick scan of anything to see, one, if I was mentioned or asked anything, two, to what's everyone chatting about.
But if you want to talk about wrestling cards, go there and check it out, guys. You can go to the wrestlingtradingcards.com website.
We know
check out the bottom.
Twitter is the main place on social media. Not that, you know, there are Facebook groups, you know, many of them for a fact, and their Instagram is big. A lot of guys run stuff there, but Twitter seems to be where most of the conversation is happening, where most of the sort of lead people in the hobby are posting stuff. But the Discord channel has absolutely seen a rise in the last couple of months, I think. And, you know, so if you're not a member of that, do so. And again, it's just another place that you can sort of interact with us. And if you have a question about anything, it's there for you.
Yeah, if you guys need help getting there, just go to the wrestlingtradingcards.com website. It's part of all the links in the bottom of every page. There's a Discord link right there. It'll take you right to that channel.
Right. So next one on our list, 85 Hulk Hogan. We've been looking at this card now for quite a while. It's been roughly a $50 card for most of 2021. It started off a little slower in January at $45.31, and it slipped down now to about $40. And if you're looking at the individual sales, you'll see a low of 24 and a high of 92. Wow, that's a big difference. That someone will be able to get it for 25, and that somebody paid as high as 96. And these are raw, so, you know, maybe the condition of one versus the other, but we see a bit of a drop there. So it's like a $40 card now. And then down to the set that never stops giving, the 91 WCW Impels. I'm not going to say it, Tony.
But the fact that you thought it, it's already there.
$20.61. And this was a $15 set for a lot of last year, and it got off to a pretty good start at the beginning of the year, although we didn't have 9 full sales. But, you know, 30, 20, you know, $10, $12. So someone bought the set for $10 and did well. Someone spent $30 and probably paid a little bit too much. And then the last one we have here is a Royal Rumble, and we only had 3 sales, and they were all high. It's about a $200 set, and one went for 3, one for 2, one for 213, averaging out 237. That's a set that's going to keep going up. It's always going to be
Yes,
popular.
100%. Just I every time I see these numbers on this particular card set and any of these Fleer products, man, I just it pains me for how much I used to have of these things and had to get
I
rid of
know.
them because they're just nobody
I
wanted
know.
them. I mean, nobody cared for them. I would
I know.
wholesale them for $7 a piece, to Julio's Collectibles out in California, and he'd buy them from me and turn around, he'd sell them for 15, $20 a set.
You know what? I do that. I do that a lot of work. The woulda, coulda, shoulda game. I do that in real estate. I drive around with clients and I say, "You see that building? I own that building once." Or "See that? I could have had that." And but I never do it on cards. I don't feel any regret that. Yeah, I probably had a couple of Royal Rumble extra base sets from Grimm at the time, and why would I need 2 of
That's
them?
where I got
Why
most
would
of them from Grimm.
why would I need 2 of anything? Why have I ever needed 2 of anything?
Yeah.
Like when I bought my All-Star set, I never thought, maybe I should buy another set or 25 more sets. It was for me, I've got the one onto something else. That's always been my way.
Yep.
Because for me, wrestling cards is the history of wrestling. My enjoyment of wrestling from when I was a kid. I can go back, pull out a book at any time and be friendly reminded about, oh, this is what happened during this time in my life, like music does. I
Sure.
remember when I was a kid, that song was when I was doing this or traveling there, or this set came out.
I was
And
just talking to my wife yesterday, the song came. I go, yeah, I lost my virginity to that song.
I lost my virginity to that card.
Wow, that's not good.
No.
I'm sure a
So,
lot of kids
what
probably
else?
did back in the Attitude Era.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all I had for us on the pricing end, and that's what these monthly shows that we do. I'm sure you get tired of seeing my face month after month, but because I run a price guide, I'm sort of tuned into what's going on monthly with prices. We think that it's valuable information for the hobby to have, to sort of look at the information that we're putting together on our indexes and on our top sales of the month, and just giving you guys a look at things that, these things
Hopefully
are
you
so
learn something from it a little bit and maybe take it with you
right,
when you're doing your
right.
collection and kind of know what you maybe want to get into or not get into, or maybe you've got some stuff sitting around that you're kind of like, what is
Yeah.
this stuff kind of going for? Oh my God, those Royal Rumble sets are going for $200 a pop. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And this isn't something that, that we're going to the price guide for. This is me going to 130 point and taking 9 sales and taking an average and then looking month after month and saying, okay, now we have historical data. We can safely say that a Royal Rumble set is $200. If you do better, congratulations. But if you have to pay a little bit more, don't be surprised, because it's the sort of Fleer set. It's sort of became the one that everybody wants.
We've always been kind of judging that set, by the way, over the months in the past year. Actually, we've been talking about that set, and we say that's the modern set to have.
Yes.
I'm starting to see that kind of getting split now with this 2014, 2015 era kind of stuff. Are you not seeing that? I mean,
with the Chrome stuff.
Yes.
Yes, Chrome.
Do you think, because now we're talking 2002
I say no to
2022.
I say no to that. I think the Fleer set is the set from the Fleer era because of the rookie class.
Well, but you say it's the Fleer set from the Fleer set era. I'm talking in the past. That's a 20-year-old set now.
Yes. Okay. So your question is, do we take something?
Do you think 20 years from now we're going to look at the 2000? Well, in 2034.
No. Here's the reason why. I think we look at the Fleer set because of who was on those cards: the Batista, the Cena, the Brock. Whereas we're looking at the heritage stuff, or not the Chrome stuff, because it was actually processed with Chrome. So in other words, the
you don't think because it's got Roman Reigns and Alexa Bliss and those things?
That's not that. Well, I mean, the Alexa Bliss rookie is 2015, but again, people are buying Chrome now because it's shiny and it's parallel and it's they want to get that, not necessarily because of the rookie class. I think that's what makes that set stand out.
Of course it does.
If we were to look at a complete Chrome set from that time, I think you can do better than what you do on the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
And that's something we could bear out easily enough. But I think that Fleer set, look, in my opinion, that's one of the worst looking Fleer sets that came out. It's not my favorite one of the bunch at all, but it had the 4 guys. You know what I mean? The Cena card alone is worth more than $200 quite often.
True, especially when you start seeing some of those. And I think when we start doing them, our recap for March, I think we're going to probably have maybe a card or 2 in there from Cena, possibly. Yeah. I've been seeing some.
You and Zan have talked about that before. What are the big names? You've mentioned Vince as a big name in the hobby that it's overlooked. Don't discount Cena. I know there's a lot of Cena autographs. There's a lot of his shit that's out there, but he's on a one-way trajectory up.
Yep.
He's going to be a big name in Hollywood, just like The Rock, Batista as well.
I think people are actually speculating on that. That might happen with Roman Reigns when his in-ring career is over too, possibly.
Could do, because these guys, it's like when the football guys go on a Saturday Night Live and they're the hosts. They're the most entertaining guys. Like when Peyton Manning came on, I was riveted. When The Rock came on, like these guys, through what they do athletically and professionally, they learn how to project themselves well, I think. And I think that makes for good TV. It's entertaining. That's why I remember I was in New York City and he was on Good Morning America, one of those shows, and they have glass. So people walking outside can see Cena doing his interview. And I walked by and the guy was fucking wide like this. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, is that guy big? And they just fill a room, these characters.
Yeah, I remember back in the UPW days, it was a Southern California, training ground. It was like the training ground during the Attitude Era for WWF at the time. And going there every month, it would be at the Galaxy Theater there in Garden Grove, California, or Anaheim, California. And there was Cena. He was the prototype. That was him, and they had the Tank. Then you had the nurse. I can't remember the nurse, but you had these guys that were there. It's like that. And every month you'd see Jim Ross sitting up on the balcony. He's kind of scouting people, and you'd see him up there because you unrecognized. They totally recognized the cap. And then you would have guys. Kurt Angle came through. Undertaker was supposed to come through, but he couldn't. Triple H showed up one time. Midian showed up. I mean, it was you never know who was going to show up. But then you go to the meet and greets afterwards, which were free. And you get to meet all, you paid your ticket, and then there's a meet and greet, and then in the lobby, and you had all the UPW talent was there. It's like that. And you go, and I've got this piece of paper from the Galaxy. It's like that. It's got prototype signature on it. It's got Tank signature on it. It's got nurse, whatever her name is. It's got all the different people. And it just, you just never know. So the guy was huge back then too. I mean, the guy just huge.
Yeah, very big. Very big.
You got anything else for the month?
We talked prices. We talked index. We talked about Top Rope Wrestling Con. We talked about Fiterman. No, I think we're good. I think we've covered it all. We can be a little shorter this month. Short and sweet, be nice.
Yeah, we kind of try to keep them short and sweet. We possibly can, but
and
let everybody know where they can get a hold of you, man.
Paul and Anand, the wrestlingcardpriceguide.com. If you're looking for sort of high to low idea of wrestling card prices, if you're looking for video flip throughs, the wrestling card price guide. The only thing you're not going to find there is base card checklist. Now, where would we go for that, Tony?
No clue.
Where would be a good place that one could find checklists for every base set that's ever been made, and every parallel set that's ever been made, and give you information about the release and all that stuff?
I would check, maybe do a search for wrestling trading cards and do
see something. See if you can find a site.
If you can find anything like that. Yes.
Okay. If you ever do, let me know.
I'll let you know. I'll do some homework by the time we get our next recording. I'll let you know what I found.
The wrestlingtradingcardguide.com, wrestlingtradingcards.com. Coming to Top Rope Wrestling Con convention, first time ever.
Yep, we're doing it, man.
In the flesh.
Hopefully we're doing it. Yep.
Hope
to meet a lot of people out there and talk cards. I won't be there to talk cards very much. I might stop by. You never know, but
I'll be there on your behalf. I guess I'm going to have to go on the site and start learning about a lot of these sets in case people start asking me questions.
Or you don't even have to. It's mobile, man. Just look it up right there. Boom.
Yeah, there it is. And I'm bringing my buddy Steve down, and this guy is as big a wrestling fan, if not more, than both of us, and he's a character. So I think people will dig hanging out with him as well. So
that's good. Put him in some tights and have him sign autographs.
Well, that's just it. If there's going to be a wrestling ring, I won't be surprised if all of a sudden he jumps to the top and does one of these.
There will be a wrestling ring in there. We have a wrestling ring inside the actual show itself. There'll be Q&A.
Yeah, it's going to be something, guys. We're not overhyping it. I think it's going to be something that's going to be a lot of fun. And if you're into the card world like we are, come check us out, please.
Please. So I got nothing else, man.
That's it. We'll see you guys in a month.
With that, we are out.